Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Glad you're all here.
Lots to cover today. Listen quickly.
Yeah, we got a lot to get to and a lot to do, so let's get right to it.
Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. I'm going by today and picking up my Balon, which is my pre-emergent, which keeps the grass burr at bay. It looks like clover to you. It looks like grass burrs to my dogs. 67 degrees in Victoria, Texas. Thank God for Texas. Today is Texas Independence Day, March 2nd, the day we thumbed our nose at the crazy mechanitos that were holding us all hostage. That's our story. That's the way we're sticking to it. 67 degrees, heading to a high today of 83. There you go.
Going to be another beautiful day. Hard to believe this is March.
What is that, Cuddy? How many years is that of Texas independence? So it was 1836, Carima, 64 and 26. 180 years, is that right? 180-year anniversary of the independence of the great state of Texas. At that time, I guess the country of Texas. So there you go. Lots going on. We are technically at war. We're not, technically we're not at war because Congress hasn't approved war. But
we attacked Iran.
We did attack Iran. Very interesting. Friday, I had the privilege, I think the honor, to go down to Corpus and meet a contingent and go see the president in person. He did not disappoint. He was very much Donald Trump, very much on task. Very much, he talked about Greg Abbott, who was there, Dan Patrick, who was there. Both those gentlemen spoke. John Cornyn was there. Ted Cruz was there. Our own Congressman Michael Cloud
Probably
was there.
got the loudest ovation outside of the president.
I think Cloud did get the loudest ovation. Yes, for sure, aside from the president, he did. The president doing what you would think he would do. We got a great governor. He's a terrific guy. He loved on Greg Abbott. He loved on Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick, 3 times. He won all 3 elections. The Democrats stole one. He talked about Dan Patrick being his campaign chair. Yeah. He talked about Ted Cruz being so smart, which is correct. There's no getting around that fact.
He wants to tab him for the Supreme Court.
Yep, which I think would be such an honor. Although Ted may be getting a little long in the tooth to go on to the Supreme Court, but I always find that interesting since the Republicans are not the ones that want to expand the court. For Trump to talk about putting Ted Cruz on the Supreme Court, you've got to talk about somebody retiring or dying. There's not just an opening among the justices. So that's interesting to me. Like, is he suggesting
Ted's long in the tooth? He's 55.
Is that all? Yeah. He looks older. That's 55 is an ideal time for him to be on the Supreme Court. But
I'd hate to see it. I think Texas might end up turning purple if he lost.
Don't you think that maybe you end up with Clarence Thomas maybe deciding to kind of age off of the court? He's been there a long time. Appointed by Reagan, I think.
Clinton, wasn't it?
Well, I doubt it. I think it was Reagan.
I don't think it was that far back.
At any rate, the U.S. decided. So Friday, give you a timeline. Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. H.W. Bush. The president is still in Corpus Christi. He flies from Corpus over to Mar-a-Lago.
Buying Whataburger for everybody before he left
went and
Texas.
bought Whataburger for an entire restaurant full of people. Staged photo op. People were invited to be there, and they were there. And you always wonder how that happens. So he just walked in off the street. No. He didn't. No. Those people had a little pass that let them get there, but. The president did that, got on the plane, went over to Mar-a-Lago, which makes me wonder. I don't know if our own congressman is in the district right now because he flew down here. Congressman Cloud flew down from D.C. on Air Force One. And I don't know if he...
Well, he had a ride home because Roselle was there.
Well, yeah, to his home, but I don't know if he came home for the weekend or if he flew over to Mar-a-Lago and then Air Force One maybe went on to D.C. and dropped. Because you had Ted Cruz, all those folks, I'm certain, flew with the president down here from D.C. I'm making that assumption. I could be wrong. But then Saturday or Friday night, late, and the president was relaxed. You were there. He was relaxed. He was casual.
He didn't mention much about Iraq, which I thought, or Iran, which was interesting.
He did say that the negotiations. So here's the problem I've got. We use the word negotiations. It was much more of a mandate for acquiescence, right? You can say that you negotiate with your 5-year-old. If you do that, there's going to be problems, and you may call that a negotiation because that makes you feel better. But as the parent, you're still telling your child, this is how this is going to go down, right? You're not going to do that. And if you do that, there's going to be a penalty. In this case, Donald Trump is Iran's daddy. And as their daddy, the Iranians can fancy themselves negotiators. Oh, we were making headway. That was what one of their defense ministers said. We were making significant headway. He gave you 10 to 15 days 10 days ago.
Only people making headway in 47 years with the Ayatollah and the IRGC.
Absolutely. And then when all of those people, you want to talk about dumb. I heard it described as an Elmer Fudd level of ignorance. Like 20 or 30 of them all went to a military meeting, like let's all meet at the IHOP and talk about terrorism. And the Israelis just took them all out. They saw the window and they said, we can get rid of a whole bunch of them right here.
Well, they knew they were meeting there.
So they did. Really dumb. That is, Cody, if ever a meeting begged for a Zoom call, you would zoom in from your tent. You wouldn't go to the IHOP in downtown Tehran and think that everything was going to go okay. You drive up in your Range Rover and get out. You're going to get blasted. So we blew up
the Ayatollah
and the second Ayatollah, the successor to the Ayatollah. And then nobody really stepped up immediately to be number 3.
Nobody wants to lop their own head off.
They didn't say next man up. It's worth noting a couple of things. Those of you that think this was some egregious act of aggression by our president.
It's an act of war, and he didn't have congressional approval.
You've just been in the dark. He told them it was coming. He gave people time. He told the Iranian people, stay in your homes.
And there's idiots out there saying that this is just a deflection from Epstein.
That's stupid. It's really stupid. And at the end of the day, the president goes in yesterday. He says, oh, by the way, he's this casual. We sunk 9 of their Navy ships. He goes, several of them were really big. And in a separate mission, we took out what appears to be their naval headquarters office building. He said, other than that, Iran's Navy is doing great. So the bigger picture here, as everything in war does, revolves around oil. This particular oil, 23 to 25% of all the oil consumed by China comes from Iran. Toss in the oil that China was getting from Venezuela, and you can see the U.S. tightening the noose on China, reining in. We're doing it under the guise of China will no longer have a foothold in our hemisphere. There goes Venezuela. China will not take oil from the largest state-supported terrorist organization, being Iran. And now all of a sudden China, they've got a fuel problem that might keep them from going and attacking Taiwan, which everybody seems to think was fairly imminent. I can go back, add a layer back on. I'm perfectly content with Donald Trump bombing Iran simply to free up the Iranian people, pay back for the USS Cole and all the other garbage that those towelheads have done to us through the decades, 47 years of it, and to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon. I believe that someday soon it will come out that Iran had the technology, they had the technology to create a nuclear weapon, and that the president felt compelled to bomb them again to keep that from happening. He has vowed, as far back as the 90s, when he was just a citizen, when he was a Democrat, he has vowed that they will not have a nuclear weapon. I think you have to support that as an American.
I think it's interesting that Russia basically said, well, we really feel bad for you, but we're not going to do anything.
Right. And the Brits very quickly said, hey, we didn't have nothing to do with this. Yeah. And there's a place you don't want to be. The British are just little cucks for the Muslims.
Well, they're scared of what the Muslims are going to do in their own country.
Right. They are scared of the Muslim influence in their country. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't want to invite anybody to. What if they were to blow up Big Ben? Oh, what if they blew up the London Bridge? We don't want that.
And we've seen it here. Right. Apparently in Austin. This guy that shot up a bar on 6th Street Saturday night
had a sweatshirt on that said "Property of Allah."
And apparently they're saying this morning on CNN that the motive might have been in response to the attack in Iran.
Yeah, he was from Senegal, apparently here legally, apparently dead now, right?
Yeah, cops shot and killed him on 6th Street.
By the way, Austin PD responded in 57 seconds to the first shot.
All over that street, that's why.
Good job.
But as war escalates in the Middle East, let's be mindful of who's doing the escalation. Because it isn't the U.S. and Israel attacking all the other countries in the area.
Indiscriminately attacking anybody that's got any association with the U.S., which is every country over there.
They fired missiles into Israel. They're sending drones into Bahrain. They're hitting hotels, apartment buildings, schools. They don't care. They are trying to bring everybody into this because they're panicked.
And the U.S. is saying, just relax, we got it.
They're fearful, and they're desperate. So they're going after everybody they can in the Middle East. Kuwait's been involved. Kuwait involved in a friendly fire incident, shot down 3 of our F-16s.
Yeah, Kuwait. So Kuwait has a missile defense system. They misidentified these F-15E fighter jets. These are 2-pilot jets. They mistook them for being Iranian, and they used missiles that we've provided to Kuwait to shoot down our airplanes. Now, 6 service members safely ejected and have been recovered and are all stable. They're all fine. They're not casualties of war, but the aircraft are gone, and nobody's blaming. There's zero hostility between Kuwait and the U.S. over this. So very interesting.
3 American soldiers killed by Iran at a base in Kuwait in retaliation. Iran has also struck at targets in the United Arab Emirates. So they're trying. They're desperate. Iran says that the initial missile strike on Saturday struck a girls' school. Saw reports that may have been repurposed footage from a school attack in Pakistan. So don't really know who to believe because I haven't seen a ton of credible sources talking about the school being destroyed by a wayward U.S. missile. But Trump did say, I think late last night or this morning, I saw somewhere that this thing could last 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, and that's his deal. He said 4 to 5 weeks. He did say we are not entering into a forever war. There is a clear objective. It will be attained, and we will move on. And I do believe that's the case. In fact, I'm very, very sure that the U.S. is really playing chess here. I think that the intel is going to come out, like I said, whether it's to prevent the bomb, free up the Iranians because the regime has been vulnerable. It's now very vulnerable. The Iranian people, immigrants that are here legally in California, openly celebrating in the streets, crying. They're like, thank God for Donald Trump. And then at the same time, you have the blue-haired American female who's whining about the war in Iran. It's just, there is a group of folks in our midst that is so out of touch with what's going on the global chessboard that they just want to complain about everything. There are things that have to be done. Let's take a break, rotate our guest in, and then we've got another guest later. This is a busy Monday, and you're free to walk across. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. We had a great time last Thursday night. Did anybody in our group win?
Yeah, a couple. Pat Strauss.
Oh, Pete Strauss always wins. He's a winner.
Yep. And I think, did Sherry Jacobs maybe, or Lindsay? I think one of them won. So, yeah, we had a couple winners.
See if those work.
We had a couple winners. Veracruz
anything?
Restaurant, you're a winner today if you get back into Veracruz now that they're open for the week.
Best Mexican food in town, period. I won't tell you this. I went to another store. I called Lee yesterday. I told him, I said, your prices are too low. I'm not trying to work against you folks. I'm trying to keep Veracruz in business for a long, long time. And the other place we went, the food wasn't as good, and it was twice as expensive, literally twice as expensive. So get into Veracruz today and enjoy the best Tex-Mex in town. USA Concrete Coatings. Sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it, repair it, lift it, seal the cracks, put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat. Whatever you want done, USA Concrete Coatings is your home. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen's your go-to tow-to. Let Allen help you get from here to there from just about anywhere. We're joined by our friend, our buddy, our pal, Clint Ives, running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4. How are you, sir?
Speaking of Precinct 4, because you two choose to live in a desolate precinct.
Right.
And not in God's country.
True.
That's going to eliminate y'all from getting mail and other.
We don't get the mail outs. Yeah.
You don't. I don't know that you get mail in general.
I don't. It comes seasonally.
I brought both of y'all.
Oh, well, what a bonus. Look, folks, now we get the mail out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And on the back it says, my opponent is a communist sympathizer. No, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. I complimented your opponent the other day on the fact that you both have just run gentlemanly races. It goes to show that people can have differences or congruencies and can still figure out a way to communicate without having to be negative. I applaud you for that.
No, it's been a good campaign. This is a curious season because when you have one JP race that is the only contested race on the local ballot,
right?
There's not a lot of excitement in the streets. That's just a fact.
That's fair.
And I was on with Bill Posey earlier. You know, you're pretty limited on what two JP candidates can argue about. Okay,
but tell us a little bit. Today's Texas Independence Day.
Amen.
And remind these folks about the importance of the role of the JP being kind of the first layer of defense.
That is my primary focus in this race. The duties of the JP are set by statute. And so you're going to hold justice courts. You're going to deal with protection orders. You're going to hear debt collection cases. You're going to hear civil disputes up to $20,000. There's a deeper issue with our justice courts nowadays, which I don't I don't feel like was primary 10 years ago, and that is the arraignment and the bail setting for criminal defendants. Every defendant sitting in that county jail right now will have bail set by a JP. The cases and the hearings will later be heard in higher courts, in your county court at law courts, your district courts. But that first guy that those guys are in front of is a JP. And that's been tradition in Victoria County for a long time. That's not necessarily statute, but that does allow the lower justice courts to alleviate that congestion in the higher courts because they have a busy docket week after week after week
Right.
that involves guilt and innocence. And the civil side of things as well. But that does pull a lot of time off of their plate. And it's a good process, and it's worked for a long time. But if you look at what's happened to Harris County, 100 miles down the road from us, with bail reform and with criminal justice reform, you've got judges that are letting violent offenders in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, multiple felonies, and they're back on the streets. And
You see,
that's a problem.
Clint Ives might be the first JP to order execution to someone for just saying.
I am not opposed to public hangings.
There you go.
I never have been.
What about a good old fashioned beheading?
Horse whipping, you know,
Sure.
tied to a wagon
Guillotine.
wheel. I promise you, some of this stuff would stop.
Amen.
If
100%.
we would just start stringing up pedophiles
Put 'em
on
on the-
De Leon
put 'em on the
Square.
rack.
I promise you.
You were here a couple of weeks ago, and at the time, as we discussed, hey, it's not the most exciting race on the planet. But what have you heard from folks after being here about the race? I mean, I know that early voting has ended. I know tomorrow is the day to vote.
Second time I've said this with you guys. I'm floored with how y'all have grown this program.
Thank you, sir.
You used to come on the Wade and Carter show back when we were in a broom closet.
Hear the crickets.
And I would hear from your mother later
Right.
on. You know,
Right.
you and Brent did a good job. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Mom.
Since you guys invited
Mom
me-
doesn't even tune in anymore.
know?
We've grown so big.
Well, that's
She's moved on to Hannity.
because Brent took her iPad away from her.
Right.
She was downloading too many coupons.
She's really. You see her walking through HEB with the iPad.
Right.
Watch out for Mom.
right. No, I actually had a decent amount of response from coming on this program and the canvassing and all of the outreach that's involved in a campaign. I saw you on Wade and Carter. Saw you on Wade and Carter. Heard it over and over and over. And
Appreciate
that's again another hats off to you guys for growing this local network.
Well-
it's a huge resource in this community.
Back when we had no friends, you were good to come in and sit. You remember coming in to the civil court building when Ben Galvan gave us some space, and
Right.
and you'd come in the mornings and go, "What are we going to talk about?" And he would say that on the air, Cody. What are we going to talk about? I'm like, I don't know. But
Or it would come time to take a call, and there wasn't any.
right, yeah, we'll take your calls now. Crickets. You can hear it.
We'll pay you to call us. Nobody did.
And I would step out of camera and
Right.
actually call.
Right.
Theater of the mind.
Unbelievable. You got anything else you want? We're actually going to get a call here in a minute, but
No.
we haven't.
Don't let me slow
You're
you
good,
guys
though.
down.
We haven't gotten the call yet.
Get out there, guys. Vote. I know it's a quiet season for the local races. Your JP race is an important race. Go let your voice be heard. Precinct 4. Precinct 1 has a JP race as well. Nothing else on the local ballot.
What did you say? Vote early, vote often.
Vote Ives.
Vote Ives.
But vote early is over. So now it's tomorrow, vote Ives. See, it doesn't quite have the ring
Not
to it.
quite.
Right. 7 a.m., 7 p.m., any polling location, countywide polling. Get it done. It's painless. It's free.
It is quick.
You do get a scratch and sniff sticker on the Republican side. If you scratch it, it smells like Liberty.
That's funny.
So
You ain't right.
What's the other one smell like?
Stop it.
that's for another radio show.
There you have it. This is a family show.
That's
We
right.
appreciate
That's
you coming
right.
in, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, always, and best of luck. Get after him. I know
Your protege Maximilian
he won something else.
won the junior bull riding in San Antonio Thursday night.
It's just awesome.
Nice.
Boys
Congrats.
got it. Yeah,
They're just
It's
tough
fun.
little kids. Like I said, I told you that they've been described as feral, and I think it's a compliment.
Yeah,
I think it's a compliment.
Yeah, it goes
You're
hand in
raising
hand.
little men. You're not raising little.
We might have a serious question here.
Little
Tammy
babies.
Williams wants to know, does the Justice of the Peace sentence of students that claim they have a gun in school? I don't know what she's referencing here.
Well, if you're a kid and you go to school and
Would
you
that be
say,
something
I've got
that would
a gun,
go
and
before the Justice of the Peace, or
they
would that
take
be...
you to juvie, does that end up in front of a JP?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Not in its entirety. The arraignment
The
process.
bail hearing would.
Correct. When you get into that level of criminality,
Misdemeanor.
you're gonna have a conversation with some boys that have a lot heavier black robe than a justice court.
Yeah, people like to think that misdemeanor means it's no big deal, but as we know, it can be a big
Judge
deal.
Ernst with County Court at Law handles the bulk of that over at the Juvenile Detention Center. They have a courtroom in the Juvenile Detention Center, and Judge Ernst has taken that on years ago.
So would you be working fairly closely with Constance Philly Johnson and the DA's office?
Absolutely. When our JPs are going into the jail for arraignments and setting bail, there's recommendations from the district attorney's office as well as the sheriff's office, and that's very important. They're familiar. They are far more familiar with the case than, say, the 5 to 10 minutes that your JP is going to look at that thing. And
Right.
so those recommendations are important.
Well, I want to tell you, I'm looking at that Wrangler chambray blue. You know, I think about
I'm bringing back the cool.
and the skills I know you have. That shirt to me says, I can weld, I choose not to. Because it doesn't have any burnt holes in it. So you've done well.
No, it does.
I do remember I do remember the time that you were working on a fence or something and decided to cut a gash in your arm and sent me a video
Yeah.
of you stitching yourself up.
Yeah. I got in a lot of trouble from that when my primary medical provider found out about
That'd be
that,
your wife.
they came and forced a tetetanus shot in me at least.
Yeah.
Which I didn't like.
It
That
was
hurt.
just the audio was so practical. There was there was some self-medicating going on, but there was no anesthesia. And I watched you put stitches into your arm, and I was going, Clint, do you need any help? Nah, I got it.
It was a 20-mile drive to town. Gas
There
is-
you have it.
Diesel's high.
And you wonder why his kids are good on the back of feral animals.
Yeah.
But
Super glue
well,
works wonders.
we wish you nothing but the best, and I hope that our audience will get out and vote, and don't just breeze through those races. Study who is on the ballot and make sure you make the right choice.
I had a gentleman tell me after he voted that he appreciated how close me and Bill Posey were on the ballot. The very bottom. It's the closest
That
me and Bill
helped.
Posey have ever been to one another on the ballot.
Bill Posey, of course, running unopposed as our county chair for the Republican Party.
Yep.
147 years old. It's amazing. He's still going.
This morning he mentioned hitchhiking across Iran. Seriously.
Oh, yeah,
in
he
the
did.
70s.
Yeah.
The only person, I said on the radio in Victoria County, probably the only person in Texas that can say, I hitchhiked across Iran.
Yeah, he.
I'll get out of y'all's hair. I know you got a schedule.
Go get him, and best of luck. That's Clint
Thanks,
Ives.
Clint.
He's a candidate for Justice of the Peace in Precinct 4. So you can vote countywide tomorrow, any of the normal polling places, and there you have it. Folks, White Trash Services and White Trash Site Services, really, White Trash Services is there for you in general. 550-1826. We're going to come back and take some more of a break in a little while because as at this moment we're joined by Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller. Is that you, sir?
Hey, yes, sir. Good morning. Happy Texas Independence Day.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the program. How are you and how are things going?
Well, I'm good. We're still on the campaign trail trying to, push it right through the tape at the end. So we're out working today. I'm in Fredericksburg today. I'll be in San Angelo tonight.
There you go. We just had a guest on and spoke of tomorrow, of course, being the big voting day statewide, that all the polls will be open, all the locations will be waiting for people to come vote. How do you feel like your race is going? I know you're the incumbent and you're our agricultural commissioner, but how do you feel like it's going?
Well, you always want to finish with lots of momentum, and I've run lots of races, but I've never had this much momentum going into election day. We just got the endorsement of President Trump a few days ago, so that's really, really, pushed us out front. My opponent stepped in it 2 or 3 times, tried to steal a working man's chair at the Trump rally. 4
Yes,
times
sir.
had to be run off.
Yes.
He's called American workers lazy. He's not having a very good day.
Well, so I want to step into some not. I mean, it's quirky territory, but you're the right guy to ask about this. On our program, we have supported Governor Abbott, but with a little asterisk. There are plenty of times that I have said here that it seems like Greg Abbott has a tendency to blow with the wind, and you have to kind of watch where he's going. Can you clear up, have you or have you not somehow run afoul of his favor? And can you tell our folks what that was all about?
Sure. I mean, I'll just say this. I think he's a pretty good governor. I mean, I don't dislike him. Don't stay mad at him. He obviously doesn't like me, and it's because I stand up to him. I'll give you 3 examples. So back during COVID, when he picked winners and losers, you remember the essential business, non-essential, and you had to close down?
Yes, sir.
Well, he closed down feed, seed, fertilizer dealers, livestock auction barns, retail garden centers, trailer manufactured, all these ag businesses. I mean, we got to make food. We got to eat,
Right.
So I'm autonomous from the governor. I also have executive powers over anything in the agriculture code. So I used my executive power and I opened them all back up. That did not set well with him, and there wasn't anything he could do about it.
Understood.
A second time, he decided to do safety checks on trucks down at the border and shut the border down for a week. Well, we lost $3 billion worth of product just rotted on those trucks. Plus, we had thousands and thousands of our trucks stuck in Mexico, and the cartel retaliated by setting our trucks on fire. So I called him out for that. That made him mad. But, that's my job. I've got to stand up for agriculture.
And by the way, I side with you on both of those issues. I think that in both of those issues, the governor missed the big picture.
And I think the one that really, really got off with him was during early voting, during COVID. He issued another executive order to add a 3rd week of early voting. Well, I see that's just another chance for him to cheat. I mean, and he doesn't have the only way that election law can be changed is the legislature. The only one. He didn't executive. So I sued him and to stop that, and that didn't make him very happy.
Well, he's just gained such a huge power base, and he's so powerful. And in general, like I said, I like him, and I still support him.
Yeah.
But I find that he is, people don't realize that there are times that our governor is vindictive and very powerful. I have a question for you about this. Our former retired ag extension agent, Matt Boucher, he says, ask the commissioner about ongoing plans for the possible screwworm entry back into the U.S. It's the big buzz right now. All the cattle farmers are upset. Tell me what you know about that and what you're planning to do about it.
Well, we actually provide biosecurity for the state. We have 5 permanent road stations. We pull trucks over. We go through them, make sure there's anything that harm the ag industry. Pests, invasive species, bacteria, viruses, insects, whatever. So I have deployed up and down the Rio Grande surveillance traps so we'll know when they get here. My biggest worry is hitchhiking flies. So I've also put surveillance traps around the cruise ship terminals in Galveston and Corpus Christi, because that's where those cruise ships go, is right down in that area where those screwworms are so active.
Yes, sir.
We're doing that. Through my research, I found in 1975 we eliminated the screwworm fly with fly bait. So I went to USDA and said, look, this is a great tool. We don't have to wait 3 or 4 years to, produce enough sterile flies to solve this. We can put out a fly bait. And the current thing, what they're trying to do is release sterile male flies. They irradiate them, and these flies mate one time, and then through attrition, you finally eliminate, the problem.
Right.
But we just don't have the flies, not enough. It's going to be 3 or 4 years before we can get geared up to have them. Well, they'll be all over the southern United States. So they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to use fly bait for what, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Do you think it could be pressure to bring in Argentinian beef? I mean, my gut tells me that when the screwworm crosses the Rio Grande, it'll either be on a deer or on a fly or on some other animal that happens to cross the river. It's probably not going to be in a truckload of U.S.-based cattle that come through a USDA inspection terminal. You're trying to keep the wind from blowing to a degree, and unless you have, like you say, a fly bait down there or something, it's almost kind of like a head in the sand to say, well, we're going to penalize the Texas cattle farmer, rancher. He can't bring his animals back because somewhere down in Mexico there's a screwworm, even though we can inspect it at the border and see if it has screwworms.
Well, I did have Mexico and all 11 Central American countries in my office. They came to my office to find out about this bait. So I gave them the research, showed them the formula, how to make it, and they had been actively trying to come up with the fly bait themselves unsuccessfully. So they were elated. They took it back, and hopefully they're formulating a bait, and we can get this thing shut down.
Fantastic. It'd be nice if Mexico did something to help us. That would be great.
Yeah.
Take a minute. We've hit you with all the tough questions. Take a minute and tell our listeners what you want them to know about you, your background. I mean, everybody knows Sid Miller's our ag commissioner, but tell folks why they should vote for you again this time.
Just let me lay out the differences between me and my opponent. I owe that to the public. So I'm an 8th generation farmer and rancher. I still make my living off the land in Stephenville, Texas. My college education is in agriculture. I'm an honors graduate with a vocational agriculture degree at Tarleton State University. When I graduated college, I was an ag teacher. I taught 4-H and FFA, and that's my background. I was a legislator. I was chair of the Agriculture and Livestock Committee. I had oversight over the Texas Department of Agriculture. My opponent has never lived on a farm. No generations off the farm. He has 0 ag education, none. He's never planted or harvested a crop, or doesn't know anything about doesn't really know anything about agriculture, period. He says he was never even in 4-H or FFA. And he says FFA is useless when it comes to teaching kids about agriculture. It's just a debate society. So that right there would be enough to, disqualify him, in my opinion. Now, I've got a lot of work to do. My agency is the best run agency in state government. And that's not my words. That comes from the Sunset Commission. After they did our agency audit, they said of all the decades we've been reviewing agencies, this is the best run agency we've ever reviewed. So I take a lot of pride in that. And I do that not for myself, but for the people that I have on staff. We took our school nutrition program from 0 local products served in our schools to today. They bought $300 million worth of local products. Never ultra processed, never flash frozen, no additives, no dyes. And now we have healthy kids instead of healthy trash cans. Awesome. Through that, I've kind of an odd pairing, but I've become very close with Bobby Kennedy Jr. We were MAHA before it was a buzzword. So I'm the only elected official that's on the MAHA action team, helping formulate the new food pyramid and the food guidelines. And he's going to make Texas the shining example on how to get, fresh food into our schools. So, matter of fact, Monday he visited one of my schools and toured it and saw for himself what we were doing.
Wow.
So we got a lot of other stuff going on. I've got, we're working on this agriculture trade deficit. We're down $50 billion. We're buying $50 billion more food than we're selling. So we've got to turn that around. And this is not one thing that my opponent really just starts. He says, I'm taking 48 international trips and spending the taxpayer dollar to do it. Well, none of that's true. First of all, it's 45 trips. And what I'm doing, I've got 12 ambassadors that I've trained, and I send them out on these trips. They take 10 to 30 companies with them and set up meetings with buyers, and we've been hugely successful. And I don't spend a dime on it. It's all paid for by the Southern United States Trade Association. So right now we've reduced that deficit about $13 billion. We got an extra $10 billion in sales from Taiwan on our first trip. I just had 4 teams return from Dubai, Oman, Lebanon, and Mexico. Lebanon is buying 50 tons of beef from us every month to feed their military. So we're doing really good, really, really good.
Well,
So
that's awesome. I mean, you know, when you look at the Texas economy and the way that it's booming, it's not a surprise at all that, you know, that Texas is leading the way in food production and consumption is with all the folks that we have. I wanted to tell you that personally, I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I did vote for you, and I voted for you early. It made me feel good to see you standing with our representative, Sheriff A.J. Louderback, at the Trump rally. Did you have just with no offense in the term, as a politician, do you have like a very quick summary of how that rally made you feel?
You know, that rally was really, really good. It wasn't a rally. I mean, it kind of turned into one. But well, I got the invitation to attend the VIP, you know, from the White House, and it was billed as a press conference. But it looked a whole lot like a rally to me. But it was good, upbeat, very positive. It was a little warm, you know, out in the sun all day. But it was very, very good. And then, of course, right after it was over, he announced that he was endorsing me and Don Huffines. So that was a huge boost. And he's always endorsed me. You know, calls me Trump's man in Texas is.
Yes, sir. But you know, you were there. Huffines was there. Of course, Sheriff Louderback was there. I mean, Cornyn, Ted Cruz, Dan Patrick, the governor, of course, Michael Cloud, Wesley Hunt. It was a very, very important press conference. There were a lot of key national and state figures there, and I'm glad you were there.
Oh yeah, I'm always honored. You know, I always get invited to those. Actually, you probably don't know this, but I was in Butler, Pennsylvania, about 20 feet from Trump when he got shot.
Oh, wow.
I was there on the campaign trail with him, and I was right up by the stage, right in, you know, as close as you could get.
Yes, sir.
And, I'll have to come back on and tell you about that sometimes.
We will have you back on. Go run the race, and we'll remind everybody to get out and vote tomorrow. And as always, sir, thank you for your time and for all you do for Texas.
You bet. God bless and happy Independence Day.
Thank you, sir. That's Sid Miller, our agriculture commissioner. Really, really a nice gentleman. And as you heard, he's just a straight shooter. He's like, yeah, I don't mind telling you. I hesitated because we do support Governor Abbott. I like Greg Abbott, even personally. But we have pointed out that there have been times that he seems to, well, let's go this way. And all of a sudden, Commissioner Miller pushed back a little bit against some of the governor's things, given that the office was functioning just as it should. He's there to support Texas agriculture business. And he supported it, saying, whoa, I'm going to open these feed stores back up. You're killing our industry. And the governor got really upset with him. But to the point that the governor endorsed someone else is the key message there. But I'm very glad to see that President Trump extended his endorsement to Sid Miller. So I think that Sid Miller will win the race, don't you?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. I think people are fed up with some of his antics, to be honest.
Okay. And we'll see how it goes.
But I don't know if there's enough of them to make a difference.
There you have it. It never hurts, ever, to be the incumbent. Look, you want to wrap up our breaks for the day, and then we can talk some more about Iran and what's going on. I didn't finish with you about white trash services. If you live in the No Bull network, if you're in the counties that we serve via the radio network, White Trash Services is your preferred. Do you say preferred in Canada?
No, it's preferred.
Preferred. Do you say Panama or do you say Panama?
Panama.
I was going to say, don't Van Halen pretty much determine how that
Pretty
word
much,
is
yeah.
said?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you have it. White Trash Services will give $25, $50, or $100 to your local volunteer fire department in exchange for a service agreement with you for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And they will, even up to the third year, they will lock in your pricing for 2 full seasons.
And if you're an existing customer, you can lock into a service agreement and also take advantage of the donations to your volunteer fire department.
Which is great. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but I got a note the other day from BJ Nelson. I'm trying to see if it's just right here. I get so many emails.
Over $21,000
There, that's what I was
donated.
looking for. Over $21,000, just cash money, straight from White Trash to the volunteer fire departments. And by the way, while that you may say, "Oh, 20 grand," I tell you what, it adds up when you need just basic equipment. It helps a lot at the volunteer level where they raise their own money. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Get in and see why you just always do better at Chesnick. The furniture is great. The materials are your choice. You want leather, you want pleather, you want Naugahyde. They'll help you find Corinthian leather. They'll help you with anything you want at Chesnick. Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Parvito Wellness inviting you to come in and get healthy. What do you think, Ash? You get in there, you still eating your Parvita meals?
Absolutely.
And aren't they good? They're never frozen. There's no preservatives. There's nothing. It's great.
And they change them up every week.
They do a fantastic
Keep the menu
job.
fresh. Very good stuff.
Went services for all your electrical needs, whether it's ballast, lighting, whatever. Went is a general electric contractor. They will help you. Turnkey generator service available. The office is at 205. There's a couple of spaces down here. John Paul Hull and James Geets have got some beautiful real estate. This is right in the heart of downtown. You can be a part of the renovation and resurgence of downtown Victoria by coming down and checking out this office space. We did USA Concrete Coatings.
First State Bank of Louise Astros update.
Let's go. I love that. Talk to me.
Struggling. I think they've won one game in the preseason.
That's great. I think some of their best seasons have come off a really lousy spring season, and here's why. They're letting everybody play. People I've never heard of that are deemed like.
But so is everybody else. But their nobodies are better than our nobodies. And given our history of injuries the last couple seasons,
true story.
That's not a good.
You
omen.
hate to go into a season saying if the Astros can stay healthy, ... But if they can stay healthy, Lance McCullers this last weekend threw 94.6 miles an hour as the starting pitcher. That's up almost 3 miles an hour over last year, and that 3 miles an hour, if he's healthy, could make him very serviceable in about a number 3 slot.
As long as that thing doesn't just run flat.
Yeah. I've been there. I've watched him get very, very angry. Dawn and I went down to, we were actually in Sugar Land, and he was striking everybody out, and he was angry. And Dawn said, "What's wrong with him? Why has he got the?" He would throw me the ball, and he would catch it, and he'd turn, and he'd spit. And she said, "What's he upset about? He's got 6 strikeouts in 3 innings." I said, "He's upset because everybody's striking out on the slider." He was having to get people out. Yes, he still has a big league slider, and those young guys weren't ready for it. But he wants to blow it by you. When he's up 0-2, he would go 1-2, 2-2, and the next thing you know, he'd throw a slider and they'd swing at it and miss. But if McCullers is healthy, if he can throw it 95, we're looking good. Yeah. We're looking good.
I'm not too worried so much just because they basically, they're throwing 6, 7, 8 pitchers a game. So they're just giving guys work. It's still early in spring training, but the bats have been a little bit iffy.
I really think they're going to be fine. I do. Did Bregman re-sign with Boston?
I think so.
Or has he signed?
I don't know.
He had the opt-out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited to watch this team play. I think if you put Christian Walker at first, Altuve at second, Pena at short, Correa at third, give me an outfield that may include, although Yordan Alvarez made the comment the other day. He said, I've never gotten hurt playing left field. He goes, I've gotten hurt on the bases. I've gotten hurt at the plate, getting hit by a ball. He goes, let's just take a deep breath. He goes, I don't need management. He said, I don't need Joe protecting me from playing left field. I don't want to sit on the bench all year. I want to play. Man, hats off to him. When he plays, he's a really serviceable left fielder. So
Doesn't get hurt playing left, but you have to wonder if that wears his body down.
true story. J-Dub, thank you. Jonathan Williams says Bregman went with the Cubs. I had forgotten that.
Yeah, me too.
And Don Nicole, look at T-Lat. No, he went to where Tucker was. And I think Tucker's now with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have to be the favorites to win the whole thing this year. It's a sure sign they won't. I mean, we've had years
Where they
where,
won 2 in a row?
yeah, they won 2 in a row, and they added
Have the
Tucker.
Dodgers replaced the Yankees as the most hated team in
Yeah.
Major League Baseball?
You know why? Because they just money whip you.
Yeah.
I mean, they say that there's a salary cap in baseball, but all there really is a penalty to baseball. If you go
spend over it, yeah.
then you got to pay the big league club. You know, you got to pay the league. So, yeah, Ryland says it's a big deal that we're missing. All that we're missing is Dubon in the outfield. I do hope Mauricio Dubon has a great season. He's one of the good guys in baseball. He seems to really relish and appreciate every day that he gets to play baseball, a kid's game. And Jonathan Williams says, you know, Yordan had a great arm in left field. He did. People ran on him, and they found out.
All right,
No doubt
he's a
about it.
good player. Don't get me wrong. I just
Well, he's a big, heavy body. It's like having Shaquille O'Neal play left
It
field.
is.
I mean, what are you
Really
going to
is.
do? Don't be surprised if he gets hurt. Astros should do very well this year. I think. I don't know of anybody that made any great strides. Do you? Did Seattle do anything great in the offseason?
I don't think so.
So, yeah, we're okay.
So
Astros will be fine.
Junior says, never knock a bench warmer. You got great seats at a game in the shade.
Right? With tons of money. Tons and tons of money. Man, what a program. We got to visit about Iran and what's going on over there. We got to visit with Justice of the Peace candidate Clint Ives, encouraging you to go vote tomorrow.
Interesting interview on 60 Minutes. And Scott Pelley did a good job interviewing the former Shah of Iran's son, who's been in exile since 79, living in the U.S., and would be willing to go back and sort of lead a transitionary government and play a transitionary role as Iran becomes or moves towards democracy. Here's my maybe way too early take, but I don't think anything's going to change. I really don't.
You don't?
I don't.
By the way, another quick aside, Caden points out, which is important to me, that Joey Loperfido was also picked up from the Astros after going to Toronto, I think. So good for him to be back with us. I don't, it's not, disagree is not the right word. I am hopeful. I was very pleased to hear the Shah's son, who arguably is like royalty in Iran, he emphasized every time Scott Pelley would say, are you willing to go back? Am I hearing that you're willing to go back and run the country? He said, not run the country. Help in transition on an interim basis. He goes, I have the face that the people know. I have the name that allows me to get the message out. He basically acknowledged his skill set. I'm an important guy in Iran, and I support what the U.S. is doing there. Therefore, I am willing to go and help in this endeavor. The clerics are not going to go quietly.
No.
They are going to cling to the power they have. And what you'll learn if you go back and look at the Obama years, are the people that are in charge now, are they Shiites or what are they?
I think it's the Shiites that are in
Okay.
charge of Iran.
So what happened during the Obama years was that Barack wasn't willing to do what President Trump is doing, which is what every president has said they wanted to do for the last 50 years. But what Barack did was he said, you're the lesser of the evils. And he propped up that.
He thought they were.
Well, that's right. That's right. And he propped up that Iranian regime with tons and tons and tons, literally, of money. Now, don't ever forget 2,977 lives lost between the World Trade Center attack and the Pentagon. And that was just, you can throw in the USS Cole, 180-something military personnel die. You can throw in, under Barack's watch in 2016, one of our ships was boarded, and our own Navy personnel were held with their hands behind their back for hours on the front of their ship. If anybody's got an ass whooping coming, it's Iran. Don't feel bad for them.
Yeah, this is a war that started 47 years ago. It's just taken us this long to, and again, I don't want endless wars. I don't think anything's going to change. I think all it's going to do is destabilize Iran. I just don't see anything changing. I really don't.
So then let me ask you this. And I always love your perspective, especially when it's perspective is always different than mine. But if your opinion is different, I want it. Does that mean, let's say that nothing changes. If all we do is get rid of this current regime and eliminate their possibility of having a nuke just for the foreseeable future, was it worth it?
I don't know, because I question the nuke thing too. We've been hearing for 47 years they're on the verge of having a nuclear weapon. They've never gotten a nuclear weapon.
Apparently, it's fairly complicated. But the
So
idea being,
I don't know that they're ever going to get one. I don't know that they ever. I would think if they were able to get one, they would have one by now.
do you think this is kind of like the weapons of mass destruction?
I think that's been what this has been for 40 years or 30 years of this. We didn't do the damage that we thought we did, or that President Trump says we did when we blew up their nuclear facilities with the big bombs back last spring.
Right.
We slowed them down. We didn't eradicate it, but I think it's a bunch of hooey to justify what we're doing to keep the military-industrial complex blowing and going.
Okay, I can see that side of it, and yet I believe that we're going to uncover intel that shows that at the time, I believe that the military and the CIA have been giving Trump the advice that you'll never have a better time to do it than right now. Because the word was, whether it's true or not, we don't ever know, but the word was that Iran was 2 to 3 weeks from having the uranium to the point they wanted it when we first blew up their other facility, which, by the way, just technically and tactically as a military operation, everything Trump has done has been unbelievable, almost to the point that you could say it's almost as if he was being rewarded for doing the right thing. Think about it like this. There is no president 7 months out from a midterm election that wants to start a war. There is nothing. If the Venezuelan operation had failed, if it had been like when Jimmy Carter tried to rescue the hostages in Iran, which, by the way, was another time that they were messing with us and didn't pay for it. If you look at it like that, what if that mission in Venezuela had failed? What if this mission had grossly failed and there was a big loss of American life? it's not a popular thing to do. There's no doubt he did not do it to garner favor with the American voter. So Trump says, I'm just going to keep doing what's right. And he said, I have found that it always seems to work itself out if I just keep doing what's right.
What's really good for economies? Wars.
A little war is good for the economy, sure. Oil prices going up a little bit. But China doesn't control the Straits of Hormuz. And, these are the things. There's multiple layers to it. We'll see how it plays out. You'll be able to hear it here first with us. You can go listen. While we were on the air, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth did speak. I encourage you to go find that. It's probably on Fox.
Yeah, he did say we didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we're finishing it.
It's a very politically positive.
And I agree with that. We didn't start this war, and we've cowered. We've been a coward, and the West has been a coward to Iran for 47 years. And even prior to that, found an interesting old school article in the New York Times that basically called the original Ayatollah Khomeini a moderate who just wanted better for his people and change. This is what the New York Times does. This is how the
Shah was too rich.
Yeah,
that was the problem.
You can argue about the propaganda on one side or the other, but this is how the propaganda on the other side weakens people's views on something, and they don't call it like it is. They did the same thing with Hitler back in the 30s.
He was just trying to help, right? They don't tell you, though, that the Iranian folks that are in California are partying in the streets.
Oh, no. The Iranian people who left after 79 want this, or even prior to when they saw it coming. They want the change. Linda Chris says something here. Things couldn't get worse. Look at how many people died in the protests a few weeks ago. 60 Minutes yesterday said 20,000 were killed. I've heard as many as 35,000 killed by the IRGC in those protests.
You know why? Because they're the only ones with guns. The Iranian people have been disarmed. Never forget that.
They're going to kill a whole lot more before this is over. You can bet. Wait, just watch and see. That's why Donald Trump has urged the Iranian people to stay in their houses while all this goes on. He's saying it's because they're bombing the country. I think it's because if you step outside, the Iranian Guard will kill you.
I saw a deal that said, here's a hexagon, here's a pentagon, here's an octagon, and then it showed a silhouette of a B-2 bomber, and it said, here's an Ayatollah gun. We'll leave you with that. Have a great day. Be safe, folks. Go win Monday. You can't win them all. Yes, I agree with Kathleen Leininger. Vote for Allison Fox for Court of Criminal Appeals 3. Go have a great day. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.